When you think of Mr. Rogers, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's the kind eyes, that gentle smile, and of course, the iconic cardigan sweater. He was that calm, reassuring neighbor who visited us right through our TV screens. But you know, that familiar image we all have, it's really just the beginning of a much, much deeper story.
See, behind that zippered sweater was a man of some surprising complexity, incredible discipline, and yeah, quiet rebellion. So in this explainer, we're going to peel back the layers and introduce you to the composer, the minister, and the revolutionary who completely changed television one gentle message at a time.
All right, first up, let's talk about the music. A lot of people are really surprised to learn that Fred Rogers wasn't just a host who sang a few simple songs. Not at all. He actually saw himself as a musician and a composer first and foremost. And the music in the neighborhood, it wasn't just background noise, it was the show's very heartbeat.
And the man was prolific. We're talking about over 200 songs that he personally wrote, both the melodies and the lyrics for the show. And it didn't even stop there. He also composed 13 full-length operas, turning really complex childhood themes into these beautiful, whimsical musical stories for a national audience. The level of musical detail was just incredible. I mean, the man had a degree in music composition. He structured every single episode using the classical sonata form. The lyrics weren't just cute rhymes. He carefully crafted them with child psychologists to talk about real feelings. And get this, the entire underscore for every show was performed live by an amazing jazz trio, led by the pianist Johnny Costa. It was literally a live musical conversation.
And seriously, this was not simple kid stuff. Jazz musicians who've actually looked at his sheet music are often just blown away. As one fan put it, the chord changes are as complex as something you'd find in a professional jazz musician's handbook. He was basically teaching a whole generation music appreciation, and they didn't even realize it.
But all that music, it was really in service of a much deeper calling. You see, before he was Mr. Rogers, he was on a path to become a Presbyterian minister. He was ordained in 1963, but his congregation wasn't in a church. It was in living rooms all across America. The show was his ministry.
So why television? Well, it wasn't because he was starstruck. Actually, quite the opposite. Back in 1951, he saw his first children's TV show, and it was just chaos. People throwing pies in each other's faces. He was horrified. He saw this fabulous instrument, as he called it, being used in such a demeaning way, and he decided right then he had to get involved.
And this really captures his philosophy perfectly. To Fred Rogers, that space between the TV screen and the viewer wasn't about selling toys or just mindless distraction. It was sacred. He literally called it holy ground, a place for genuine connection, for care, and for ministering to the emotional needs of children. And he took that responsibility so seriously.
So, a jazz composer and a minister in a sweater. You might think, okay, that's the whole story. But Fred Rogers was also a quiet revolutionary. In his gentle, completely unassuming way, he used his platform to confront some of the most divisive issues of his time head-on.
Okay, picture this. It's 1969. The Nixon administration wants to slash funding for public broadcasting in half. So Fred Rogers, who wasn't a huge household name yet, goes to Washington to testify. He didn't bring charts, he didn't bring angry speeches, he just came with this simple, heartfelt concern for kids.
And in just 6 minutes of his calm, earnest testimony, he completely changed the game. He moved this tough, seasoned senator, John Pastor, who later admitted he got goosebumps listening. The result? The funding wasn't just saved, it was more than doubled from a proposed $10 million to $22 million. The man basically single-handedly saved public television.
That very same year, the country was in absolute turmoil over racial integration. Public swimming pools had become a literal battleground. I mean, there were horrifying images of white owners pouring acid into pools just to drive out black swimmers. The tension was just at a breaking point. So what did Mr. Rogers do? He didn't give a lecture. He did something simple and beautiful. He invited his friend, Officer Clemens, one of the first recurring black characters on a children's show, to join him and just cool his feet in a little wading pool on a hot day. In a culture that was screaming about who could share water with whom, this quiet, simple act of shared humanity was an incredibly radical statement, broadcast into millions of homes. So how on earth did one man keep up this incredible consistency, this purpose, for more than 30 years? Well, the answer lies in a private life of intense, almost unseen discipline. It was a life built on ritual, on routine, and on a very special number.
For most of his adult life,
Every single morning after his daily swim, Fred Rogers would step on a scale. And for over 30 years, the scale read the exact same number, 143. Not 142, not 144. 143. And for him, this wasn't just a coincidence. He thought of it as a gift. Why? Because for Fred, 143 was a code. 1 letter for the word I, 4 letters for the word love, and 3 letters for the word you. So every single day, his own physical body was a reminder of his core message. He didn't just say, I love you, he literally embodied it.
And that number was the result of an absolutely incredible daily ritual. I'm talking waking up before dawn for prayer, swimming laps without fail, and personally reading and responding to dozens and dozens of letters every single day. He was a vegetarian because, as he put it, he couldn't eat anything that had a mother. The gentle presence we all saw on screen, it was fueled by a will of iron.
Ultimately, this was never an act. The public person and the private man were exactly the same, and they were guided by a simple principle he learned back in college. He wrote the phrase, "Life is for service," on a small piece of paper, and he carried it in his wallet every single day of his life. That was his compass.
So we're left with this question, right? He invited all of us into his neighborhood, but he also challenged us to create our own. What does it really mean to be a neighbor in his sense of the word? To truly listen, to care, to see the holy ground in the person sitting right in front of you? That's the legacy he left for all of us to figure out.